Have you ever wondered how some people seem to get lots of podcast show interview opportunities while others really struggle with what's going on? Have you tried to get on shows and yet you keep hitting roadblock after roadblock after roadblock? Are you really serious about finding the right podcast opportunities for your message and your mission? Hi, this is Kathleen Gage with Power Up for Profits and Plant-Based Eating for Health podcast shows. And if you're looking to get on podcast shows, this video is going to show you how to find some great opportunities that are very targeted. So let's get right into it. First of all, you want to make sure that the shows that you're targeting are a good fit for what your message and your mission is. What I mean by that is, are you very clear on who the audience is that you want to get in front of? It's more than I want to get in front of all women, or I want to get in front of all boomers, or I want to get in front of Gen Xers. You've got to be much more specific. For example, I do a lot in the plant-based arena, and there's several layers to the whole plant-based movement. Some people are about the animals, some people are about cooking, some people are about health. And so the more specific you are, the easier it is to find shows that fit your genre. And once you decide who's the audience, you have to decide what's my message. Recently, I did a short training video on how to put a one sheet together. The one sheet is designed more for you than it is actually for the host. It's designed really to help you to gain clarity on what your message is. Many times a host will ask you for a one sheet, other times they won't. And yet by having one, you have much more clarity on what your message is, what the topics are you speak on. And if they ask for examples of questions or sample questions, you can send them the one sheet. Now, again, not every host is going to be married to the questions. Not every host does an actual formal type interview. But let's hop over to iTunes, and I'm going to show you one of the best ways to find podcast opportunities. So if you're ready, let's go over there. Okay, so we're in Apple Podcast. It used to be called iTunes. And what you want to make sure of is in the upper left-hand corner, it's on podcast. And when you do the click down menu, you've got music, movies, TV shows, podcast, audiobooks. Make sure it's on podcast. You also have library, unplayed, and store. You want to make sure that you're clicked on the store. The library is your own personal Apple Podcast library. The unplayed are episodes within your library that have not yet played, and the store is all the different podcast shows that are listed. So let's say that we're going to do a show on auto mechanics. You go to the search area in the upper right-hand corner. You just put in auto mechanics. You click that. You do an enter. And it brings up a number of shows that are all about auto mechanics. And we've got several right here, and we've got all the podcasts right here where it says podcast. Now, what you want to do is you want to click where it reads see all, click that. And what happens is you have a number of shows that come up. Keep in mind that not every show that's listed is going to be necessarily a good fit. So you have to start going through one by one the shows that may be a good fit. And that's why knowing who your audience is and what your main message is so very important. So let's look at Shop Talk. We'll go down here to Eastwood blog featuring Shop Talk. Let's just take a look at that, and we'll see what kind of show it is. Okay, the first thing that I noticed about the show is under release date, the last episode was released in 2014. So immediately that eliminates that show from my list, because if they haven't done a show since 2014, chances are they're not going to do a show just because I reach out to them. Okay, so we go back to the list by simply clicking go back. Okay, so we go back and let's go to the Humble Mechanic. Let's take a look at that one. And basically, I'm looking for shows based on the title of the show. Okay, the last episode that was aired on this show was 2020, February 2020. So it's over a year old. So let's go back to the list and let's take a look at, we'll go back to the list. And we'll go to see all. And let's go ahead and go to Race Talk with Rice. Okay, again, this one, the last one aired was 2019. So we go back and we go to see all. And let's see, autocorrect. Let's take a look at that show. And we finally found one that's recent. You can notice that the last episode was released February 11th, 2021, then February 4th, January 28th, January 21st. So it looks like she actually releases one show every week, and Allison Walker is her name. What you want to do is you want to read the description from the provider, and autocorrect hosted by Allison Walker. The Lady Auto Mechanic airs at 10 a.m. Central on MPB Think Radio. It tells you about the show. You also want to look at related shows. And you've got a whole bunch of related shows. So what we would do is we would click down below where it reads website. That would take us to her website. And on her website, she probably has all her contact information. So you want to go, first of all, to Apple Podcast. You want to go to the category. You want to look at the date of the last episode that was released. You want to read the description, and then you want to go to their website to see what contact information is available. Okay, so we're on her page, her site. And it's got a lot of information with episodes from her show. And hopefully there's a way to contact Allison. Otherwise, we will have to go find her on Facebook, on Twitter. We'll go to About and subscribe on YouTube. Okay, and right here is an email where you can get in touch with her. So basically, in a nutshell, that's the process for finding opportunities. Now, one of the things you also want to do is you want to make sure that when you're on episodes that you list those on your website. In my program, Podcast Rockstar Club, the Power Up for Profits Podcast Rockstar Club, I teach you exactly how to find these opportunities. And I have a few people here. I want to show you what they've done as far as putting their media page together. All of these ladies that I'm going to show you examples on had done no podcast shows when they first came to me to help them. And Marsha Moran, she had a stroke, and all these lists that you see, these titles, these are all shows that she has been on since going through the Podcast Rockstar Club. The same is true for Lana from Montana, who is the author of the Food Codes. It's Lana Nelson. And she also has a list of shows that she's been on. So there's a number of shows that she's been on. And then we have Margaret Mary O'Connor, who also has a very niche topic. Now with Marsha, it's all about strokes and surviving strokes, family of stroke victims. With Lana Nelson, it's all about the food codes, which is healthy eating through intuitive eating. And with Your Radical Truth, with Margaret Mary O'Connor, it's all about women in the priesthood in the Catholic Church. And her book is very well researched. And you'll notice that she's got, let's see, we've got on the media page, and you'll notice all of them have a media page. So you definitely want a media page because it's social proof of what you've done. Now, here's just a partial list of shows that she has done, recent interviews. And when I first started working with her, she wasn't sure if podcast shows would really be effective or not, or if she'd be able to get on podcast shows. And we've been able to find quite a few for her. So what I'm going to suggest that you do is go to powerupforprofits.com/podcast rockstar. And that'll take you to the information page on the Podcast Rockstar program. And it's a self-paced home study course where you get everything from A to Z on how to set yourself up for success when you go on podcast shows and how to get on podcast shows. What I showed you with Apple Podcast of finding shows, that's only one of many strategies that I teach you. So when you go into the program, I give you links to directories where you can find opportunity, Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups that we have vetted and find to be the very best. And it's got a series of modules, and we've got a private Facebook group, a monthly Q&A training with me, group training. And I've priced it at what I call the pandemic pricing of only $147 one-time payment, and you have lifetime access. So there you go. That's the program. And again, it's powerupforprofits.com/podcast rockstar. So I want to say, get out there and do what you need to do to get the visibility that you deserve and that your message deserves. The reality is if you've got an important message, podcast interviews are hands down one of the best ways to get your message out to market. This is Kathleen Gage with Power Up for Profits podcast show and Plant-Based Eating for Health podcast show, encouraging you. Check out the Podcast Rockstar Club. Make a decision that will change the way you get podcast shows forever. Have a great day.